There is a person with 50 million followers who cried themselves to sleep last night, not because something terrible happened in their private life, because they posted something and the comments came, thousands of them, within hours, from strangers who felt completely entitled to dissect their appearance, question their character, mock their decisions, and reduce an entire human being to a punchline. And here's the part that makes it worse. That person cannot log off. Not really, because their career, their income, their relevance, and their identity are all tied to the same platform that is currently being used to humiliate them. Social media gave celebrities a direct line to their audience. What nobody warned them about is that it also gave the entire world a direct line to them. And the world, it turns out, is not always kind. So what is this actually doing to the people living inside it every single day? This video is going to take you inside the real and largely hidden cost of social media on celebrity mental health, emotional stability, and professional reputation. We are not talking about surface level stress. We are talking about documented psychological damage, career-altering moments that happened in seconds, and a system that is structurally designed to reward engagement over well-being. By the end of this video, you will understand why so many high-profile people are stepping back from platforms they once thrived on, and why the pressure of public life in the social media era is genuinely unlike anything that came before it. Stay until the final section, because that is where we get into the professional damage, the kind that does not make headlines but quietly ends careers in ways most people never connect back to social media at all. Let us start with what social media does to the mind of someone living under constant public scrutiny. The average person experiences social rejection in small, contained doses. A harsh comment from a colleague, a difficult conversation with a friend. These moments sting, and then life continues, and the moment fades. A celebrity experiencing social rejection on social media experiences it at a completely different scale. One controversial post can generate hundreds of thousands of negative responses within 24 hours. Each one is a small wound, and while any individual comment might be dismissible, the cumulative weight of that volume of negativity is something the human brain was simply not built to process. Studies on cyberbullying consistently show that online hostility activates the same neurological pain responses as physical harm. The brain does not distinguish between a punch and a public humiliation. It registers both as a threat and responds with the same stress hormones, the same anxiety, and the same impulse towards self-protection. For celebrities, this is not an occasional experience. It is a daily one. And the chronic exposure to that level of stress, with no reliable way to escape it, produces the kind of psychological damage that does not show up on a red carpet, but shows up everywhere else in a person's life. Here is where it becomes even more personal. Social media does not just expose celebrities to criticism, it fundamentally distorts how they see themselves. The platforms are built around metrics, likes, views, shares, comments. And for a human being whose career depends on public approval, those numbers become an external measure of self-worth in a way that is extraordinarily difficult to resist. A post that performs well feels like validation. A post that underperforms feels like rejection. And when your sense of value begins to track against an algorithm's response to your content, your emotional stability becomes hostage to something entirely outside your control. This is not a personality flaw. It is a psychological consequence of sustained exposure to a feedback system designed to provoke emotional responses. The platforms maximize engagement, and the content that generates the most engagement is almost always content that provokes the strongest emotional reactions. Outrage, shock, ridicule, which means celebrities are not just exposed to criticism. They are exposed to the most extreme, most emotionally charged version of public opinion, deliberately amplified by a system that profits from the provocation. And absorbing that, day after day, year after year, hollows something out in a person that is very difficult to restore. Now here is a dimension that rarely gets discussed. What social media does to a celebrity's sense of identity over time. In the era before social media, a celebrity's public image was managed, curated, and released in controlled doses through interviews, press releases, and carefully chosen appearances. There was a meaningful separation between the public version and the private person. Social media collapsed that separation. Celebrities are now expected to share constantly, behind the scenes content, personal opinions, raw moments, authentic glimpses of real life. The audience demands proximity and the platforms reward it. But here is the problem. The more a person performs their private life for a public audience, the harder it becomes to know where the performance ends and the real person begins. Celebrities who have been doing this for years describe a creeping sense of disconnection from their own identity. They no longer know which version of themselves is genuine and which is the character the audience has come to expect. That loss of self, quiet and gradual, is one of the most psychologically destabilizing things a person can experience. And social media manufactures it systematically for anyone with a large enough following to feel the pressure of an audience's expectations. Here is the section most people do not connect back to social media: the professional damage. Careers ended not by genuine scandal, but by a single post, a clipped video, a comment taken out of context, or an old tweet surfaced at precisely the wrong moment. Social media has created a permanent, searchable, instantly shareable record of everything a public figure has ever said or done online. And the court of public opinion operates with no due process, no context requirement, and no statute of limitations. A joke made 10 years ago that reflected the language of that era can resurface today and be judged by current standards, shared millions of times before the person has a chance to respond, and used to dismantle a career that took decades to build. Brand deals evaporate, projects get shelved, collaborators distance themselves, all within a news cycle, and the speed of it is the most brutal part. The damage that used to take months to accumulate now takes hours. There is no cooling off period, no opportunity for nuance. The mob moves faster than any publicist, any legal team, or any carefully worded apology can keep up with. And for the celebrity standing at the center of it, the experience is closer to a trauma than a professional setback. Social media promised celebrities something genuinely valuable: direct access to their audience, control over their own narrative, a platform that did not require a gatekeeper, and in many ways, it delivered on that promise. But the cost attached to that access was never fully disclosed. The mental health toll of living under constant public scrutiny at scale, the emotional damage of tying self-worth to algorithmic feedback, the identity erosion that comes from performing private life for a public audience indefinitely, and the professional vulnerability of existing on a platform where a single moment, stripped of context and amplified by outrage, can undo everything. These are not rare outcomes. They are the predictable consequences of a system that was built for engagement, not for the well-being of the people at the center of it. The celebrities stepping back from social media are not being dramatic. They are responding rationally to something that was genuinely damaging them, an understanding that changes how all of us should think about what these platforms are actually doing to the famous and the ordinary alike. If this video made you think differently about what public life in the social media era actually costs, there is another video on this channel that goes deeper into how fame affects the people living it at every level. Go watch it next, and if you are not subscribed yet, now is the time. New content drops every week, and it is all built around giving you a clearer view of the world behind the highlight reel.